On this episode of We're No Damn Experts, Rebecca and Maddie share with you all the secret hunting spots they know of around Great Falls, Montana.
Best damn podcast, the best damn town. You wanna get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and the wild river Thames, if you wanna go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
And I'm Maddie Stella Hazard.
And we're no damn experts. And honestly, you couldn't find a topic that we know less about than the one we're going to talk about today.
But I'm really excited to talk about it because we have a lot of papers in front of us. So the other day, I'm at Sluicebox's State Park taking some photos of my friends that are about to have a baby. So really excited for them. And I'm telling them about work because obviously you can't go anywhere in a tourism staff member.
Everywhere you go is tourism, so everywhere you go is work.
So I have to talk about work. And I'm saying, oh, yeah, on the podcast. And my friend Ryan's like, you guys have a podcast? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, and you're on it? And I said, yes. He's like, you host it? I'm like, we're co-hosts, my boss and I. Really? And like, you're on it? I'm like, yeah, we have an original song music by a local artist with a #1 in Montana. And he's like, what? And I said, I think I even talked about you on it when we mentioned outdoor rack and recreating responsibly. Like, don't go hunting alone and leave your wife so worried that she calls search and rescue. Like, because that's what he did.
Yeah.
So he tells me that we should do an episode on hunting. And so I come back to the office and I tell Rebecca this story. And Rebecca's like, you know what we should do? Have Robert on the podcast.
And for those of you who are faithful listeners, Robert is my loving, caring spouse.
And we've talked about it before that there's a stunning photo of Robert hunting.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful image.
Robert, I've seen the image and I don't know where you are. Yet he thinks if someone sees it,
they'll know exactly where he's hunting, and then his hunting honey hole will be inundated with human beings.
Little does he know that we're going to do an entire podcast episode about secret hunting spots.
And I have captured every one of them, Robert, and I'm going to share them.
Because, do you know the metadata or whatever the...
Right, on the photo.
Yeah.
Don't get him too scared.
He's going to be like, what? So we're going to do a podcast about hunting. And Ryan tells me we should have someone out of Bozeman on it. And I was like, is it about Great Falls? He's like, oh, man.
Yeah, that's a whole stickler.
But I tell him, but then I tell my husband about it. He's like, oh, that's actually a world famous hunter. And he can be applicable to Great Falls in our area. Like,
oh.
And it's the guy who does like Meat Eater. I don't know his name, though, because I guess he's famous in that market.
Okay.
So maybe it starts with a Steve.
I don't know.
But I guess he has his own podcast, a TV show in Montana and knows hunting.
But he's not #1. So maybe it is a good collaboration and he can talk about the hunting areas in the Great Falls area.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't market his podcast as one about Montana or,
It could be.
You know, we only have 1 million listeners that are available in this.
We do have to branch out of the state every now and again.
Yeah.
I do have I'm going to call him a friend, but I think it's Robert's friend. And I don't even know if they're necessarily friends, but more acquaintances.
Okay.
He is a beast when it comes to hunting, and he does a lot of bighorn sheep hunting in the crazy mountains. And I'm not giving anything away when I say that, because if you hunt the crazies, you are a talented hunter.
You're crazy?
Yeah, the terrain there is amazing. But he was published on a publication, front cover, him and his hunt to get this. So I'm pretty sure I could get him as a guest, but also...
He's not going to give up the grid?
That, and it's not our area.
Yeah, it's true.
So if you're just new to this podcast, we only talk about Great Falls. And we tell our guests when they come on, like, we can talk about other communities. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But we aren't going to brag about them Because they can start their own podcasts and brag about themselves. We don't need to do it for them.
Yeah, we'll let you know about the day trips in the area, like the base camp, which we lovingly call it. So, Yellowstone is a stone throw away if you have a strong arm. And if your arm's a little bit weaker, you can reach Glacier. So
there you go.
They're both day trips to the motivated driver, 2.5 hours. I mean, come on.
The other thing about... You won't see a lot of content on our website, on our channel, social channels about hunting. Because here's the thing. Hunting is usually done a little bit further out of city limits. Mm-hmm. And we do cover the base camp area. But a lot of this is usually done even further out than that in order to get the good hunt. And here's the other secret. We're just giving away secrets today. The other secret is we can only afford to do this podcast if people stay in hotel rooms in Great Falls.
Yeah, you guys haven't picked up on that.
That's the thing here. But most of that hunting then is done a little bit further out, and they don't necessarily stay in Great Falls unless they're hunting birds. Birds are a big thing that they hunt.
Yeah, you can hunt them in Giant Springs State Park.
Right, like right in town.
Like in town.
We'll talk about bird hunting all the time.
Yeah.
Still don't know anything about it, but we'll talk about it.
No, you hunt them, and there's seasons. So we did have an idea about this episode, and we start talking. I'm like, Rebecca, no, you're wasting podcast gold. And she mentioned something about shed hunting.
So let me just intro this portion, because in the podcast studio, I brought all my research with me that I did not read. Okay?
That we're going to thumb through together. Yep, exactly.
So here's the deal. You want to talk hunting when you come into the office? We got some publications for you now. And when it comes to these publications and hunting in Montana, in the Great Falls area, you can hunt for migratory birds, upland game birds, spring and fall turkey, deer, elk, antelope, lion, moose, sheep, goat, mountain lion specific information, moose, sheep, and goat specific information, black bears, deer, elk, and antelope.
So you can hunt black bear?
You can.
Well, because
I'm assuming.
Well, because when we were at Sluice Boxes on Monday, when we were leaving, there were two gentlemen in camouflage. Could barely see them. It was working. And their four-wheeler was camouflage too.
Oh.
And they had their binoculars out, and they were staring at a hill. And Ryan's saying something about bears. I'm in the back seat. And I'm like, is there a bear? I obviously need to take a picture or video. And he's like, no, they're probably scoping or, looking for black bears. And I was like, huh. And I want to ask more. And I am curious sometimes, but other times you're just like, I'm tired.
So in addition to all these animals you can hunt, and as I said, black bears, Robert's gotten one, so I'm assuming it was legal. He had a tag.
Okay.
So there we go.
It was a different color, and he just put a Sharpie on it.
In addition to all the animals, you can also shed hunt. So
shed hunting is a part of our ghost town. This is what I would answer it. Someone who knows nothing about it.
Are we back to the blue ribbon definition? So
prior to, I have a different friend, Alex, who told me that they went shed hunting, and I thought, based on my knowledge, that shed hunting goes along the ghost town premise of like a scenic ride or scenic drive-in in Montana, where you hit ghost towns and you find old sheds. And she's talking about these women that ride on horseback looking for them, and the men are doing this, that, and the other. I'm like, sounds like a great time. Not sure you want to look for these sheds. If it's like some photography. And I'm like, okay, yeah, she's saying it's a great time. I'm just really getting to be friends with her. So that's what shed hunting is to someone that doesn't know.
To someone who does know, it's finding the shedded antler of animals laying on the ground where you would normally hunt them, but animals shed their horns, and so when you are out shed hunting, you're looking for the dropped horns from these animals.
Why do they drop their horns or shed them?
I don't know.
Well, the thing,
It has something to do with they're like fingernails and hair.
But when you see the big bucks and there's like a 10-point,
yeah,
they shed that?
Yeah.
They just drop it and then grow another one?
Uh-huh.
Really?
And that's why you find them rubbing up on trees and stuff and scratching. They'll go into velvet and then they'll scrape the velvet off.
What does that mean when they go into velvet? Because the deer I saw on our lake hike, my husband's like, you can even see the velvet on that. And I'm like, yeah, you can. I know nothing about the life cycle
of the horn.
No.
We probably need a wildlife biologist on here, and I do know one, but
we're already into it. So they scratch their antler on a tree.
So I think it has something to do with the growth stage, and then the velvet is part of protecting it while it grows, and then after it's hardened, then the velvet starts to fall off or gets scraped off. But Robert was saying the other night, I'm sorry, Robert, I asked you to be a guest, and you said no. We were talking and he's like, well, I guess that really would itch. You got all that blood flow going into your antlers while they're growing and then it stops.
Oh.
It's got to be this massive itch, and that's why you're always tearing stuff up if you're an elk trying to get that itch scratched.
So the elk, while it matures, has blood go to the outer portions.
It's got to grow some way.
The velvet is the protective coating, and once it's callous and hardened,
there you go. Look at you being an expert.
The animal then rubs against the tree. So, okay, I guess that makes sense somewhat because we did watch this one nature show where there was a tree that all the bears liked scratching on. And they set up a cam, and at least 20 different bears are like, this is my favorite rubbing, scratching post. So I wonder if deer and elk and the other shedding animals do the same.
Get a favorite post.
Maybe. I'm learning so much just from us.
The things we'd be able to come up with on why this happens, I think, are fairly based in good, solid reasoning. So I wouldn't take this to the bank as something that you would say, this is truth. Yeah, take it with a grain of salt.
So shed hunting, is there a season for that, or is it just whenever you want to go?
It is kind of whenever you want to go, but there is a huge event out near Augusta every year on the Sun River Game Range.
Okay.
Where it is a shed hunting experience. People will plan to spend the weekend out there because that area is only open for shed hunting like certain times.
Oh.
So it's like a marathon race. And during this time, whenever it opens, this is July-ish, I think it happened this year. Again, we're not experts, so please. But it's like a marathon. They'll open the gate to the wildlife management area and people just race up the mountain to secure these sheds. And then if you get sheds, you can keep them. But they also have shed buyers then that are there. And they're like, that's a good shed. I'll give you $2 a pound for it or whatever it is, They
got their lawn chair and their beer can just sitting
just
there watching.
There.
That's the kind of people watching I want to do, because not only are we taught since the ability to walk, don't run with sharp objects in your hand. These people are running in nature with Reddy has rocks in that, but they're running towards sharp objects.
Running towards them.
Okay, and so I'll just watch that.
But anytime you're out hiking, you can
shed hunt.
You can find sheds nearly anywhere, that animals roam.
It seems like a shat hunt out there because they find the what is it? The berries that are mixed into the bear poop. What is it called?
Scat.
Oh, shucks.
It was close. I knew what you were talking about.
I find that a lot. I'm like, well, bears were here, but I don't see them like up close and personal. But
now, the other things you can hunt that don't necessarily have a season, gophers.
Oh.
Prairie dogs.
Really? You can hunt prairie dogs?
Yeah.
Anytime you want?
In certain areas.
Like
if it's a prairie dog reserve, no.
Okay.
But and it's tempting because I've driven by some and I'm like, oh, look at all those prairie dogs. And Robert's like, yeah, it's a preserve. And I'm like, oh, that's why they're just standing there looking at me like, hey, you want to take a shot?
So do people eat prairie dogs or just a game?
Yeah, some people do, just like some people eat squirrels. I'm not a prairie dog eater or a gopher eater, but a lot of it is where I grew up, rodent control. And so it's like trapping a mouse.
Okay.
You go out so they won't dig up your grazing fields or cause issues in your wheat fields. And so you eradicate the
invasive species.
Pretty much.
Okay. All right.
But no tag required. I've heard stories of people who do like chartered prairie dog or gopher hunts. And I was actually asked at a trade show one time, hey, do you guys have chartered prairie dog hunts in your area? And I'm like, no, but I do know where there is one.
So when Colin was on the podcast this summer and he was talking about the chartered pig hunts,
yeah,
I was like, those don't exist. But I guess they exist not only for pigs, but for every animal.
Pretty much. You could get an outfitter or a guide for anyone who wants to make
some decent money.
Yeah.
So we've mentioned this word 2 or 3 times. What's a tag? A tag is a lottery system?
It can be. You can buy an over-the-counter tag, or you can put in, for the lottery system idea of a tag. Some species, you don't need to apply to get a tag.
Okay.
Other species you do. Like a deer, you can go and get a deer tag over the counter, which means you just go buy your license to
kill
it.
License to kill.
And they just issue those. You still have to pick the area you're going to hunt in, I think, most of the time. Or maybe some of those tags are all over the area. And if you're a hunter, you might as well just shut this off now because
they're like so upset right now.
Or give us a call at 406-761-4436 and tell us, let's do another episode. I'll come on and I'll be an expert. You will have to share some secrets of where you hunt.
So Christina Horton was listening to our episode, The Keepers of the Buffalo, where we talk about the Great Buffalo Hunt in Great Falls. And she said she was yelling at her speakers, trying to correct us. And she's like, it was as if I was trying to talk to you, but you guys couldn't help listen. Us. We didn't make too many mistakes on there. So
it happens.
But she was not upset that I plagiarized her book on our website. We're partners.
Good, strong partners.
So if I kill a deer, I need to have applied for a tag beforehand.
You need to have secured a tag
beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and to be hunting in the correct area.
So I'm not sure. Is this a rule in Montana? In Wisconsin, if you hit a deer while driving and the deer dies, you have first dibs on that deer.
Yep.
If you don't want it, the car behind you has next dibs. That's how they go on the order for anyone who wants that piece of meat.
So we do have a roadkill tag system, which is what you're talking about.
Okay.
It's a recent thing.
Okay.
And I don't know if it goes in order, but I don't know. I think you have to be the one that strikes it in order to tag it. I don't think...
You don't think that... Okay, so...
I don't think the next car would have the opportunity to tag it.
So now I have the horrible question. You buy this tag after you kill it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, because if you hit it and it dies, it's illegal for you to take it because you didn't tag it. You don't have the permission to take it.
So then
the meat spoils.
Okay.
And if you've ever been in that situation, Montanans, people in Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, maybe some of Idaho, we've all been there. And if you're... we should have started this disclaimer sooner. If you're against eating meat, this podcast is not for you.
No.
But I'm a meat eater, and that was our subsistence for most of my life was wild game. Mm-hmm. And so if you hit a deer or an antelope, deer preferably because antelope isn't as good, but you hit a deer and it dies, you're just standing there devastated because you're wasting all that meat. So just recently, the legislature enacted this roadkill tag system. Like you could call Fish, Wildlife, and Park and say like, killed this deer, pretty much they're like, okay,
here's your tag.
Thank you.
Like send it.
But now you can call and say, I killed this deer. Can I get a tag?
Okay.
But you also, because they have to prevent people from just driving around hitting
You don't want to
elk
do that. I mean, you don't want to
as a method of hunting.
I have a funny story.
Okay.
I have never gone deer hunting. Well, no, I went once with Mark, and this was a decade ago. And I'm supposed to sit there and be quiet. And I'm like on my phone, just like, he's like, can you stop it already? Anyway, was not invited back again. But I've been more successful deer hunting with cars.
Yeah.
I did hit a buck with an impressive rack, and he did die. I got out of the car to even like make sure he's okay, and I take a picture. I send it to my husband, and he, just like everyone's okay, like you're okay. I'm like, yeah, and he's like, where are you? That's a nice rack. And I tell him, and he says, oh man, our coworker was almost out the door ready to go get it because it's that nice of a rack. He was just going to cut the head off and get it, but I was too far away from him to do it. This happened about 7:30 in the morning. On my way back from that route around 6:30 p.m., someone had done just that.
Oh no.
Yep, they took it and they claimed that they're now claiming that rack is theirs. When I did the roadside tag kill, it was mine.
It was all your effort, all your damage.
So I'm very curious now about these laws, but we can get back to hunting. This is what I know about. So I know about car safety, not like the lottery. So there are lotteries for the other species though, right?
Yeah. So the whole premise behind hunting is conservation and development of these herds and maintenance of these herds in Montana. I personally am waging war against some of the urban deer that are destroying my flowers, and it's irritating. And so there comes a point when the animal populations shouldn't be interacting as much as they are in the urban areas. And so there's some control issues. And that's what Fish, Wildlife, and Parks does here in the state of Montana. And so for the species that they need more control over, not as many, they have a lottery system where you apply to get a tag, and they issue only so many tags per area.
Okay.
Based on those resident populations of those animals in those areas. So if they're plentiful, like deer, get whatever you want, just get the tag beforehand, and then that helps with the conservation efforts. But if it's elk, they only allow so many to be shot, like in the Little Belt Mountains versus the Rocky Mountains versus the mountains down in the Dillon area.
Okay.
So each area has different limits, and you apply to get them. Sometimes you're successful, sometimes you're not.
Yeah, I've heard that like some people wait their entire lives for these types of tags.
Yeah. A moose tag is pretty sought after. It's one that I don't think a lot of people get. My husband has yet to ever get one, even though he applies all the time.
But Craig, man.
Well, that was it. That was what's so impressive is Craig had one, and he knew the value of it because they don't hand them out like deer tags.
Yeah. Okay.
And then same with like sheep and goat. And here's where I'm going to just show my ignorance. I don't know necessarily what... Oh, I do know the difference between a sheep and a goat. Sorry. Sheep have the curly horns and goats just have the pointy horns.
There you go. And goats faint.
They're found in similar areas.
Yeah.
But those are hard tags to get as well because there's not as many of those hanging around.
Okay.
And you can't hunt grizzly bears.
No.
I know that part.
I wouldn't want to.
No.
No.
I don't want to be anywhere close.
So
unless I'm with other people who run slow. That's the only way.
But we've read the National Park Service blog about safety by grizzly bears. I think it's like 13 steps. And whoever's writing this, please meet me. I'm almost as funny as you. They're talking about like, even if you have a friend that you really don't like that much anymore and you want to outrun them, like Even then they mention this friend later on 8 Steps. You've moved past this relationship. You've outran them. And you're trying to climb a tree. When's the last time you climbed a tree?
Right.
Do you really think you're gonna beat a bear?
Climbing a tree scared.
Yeah. No, I'm not doing that. So do I need tags for birds? Or do I just need to have a hunting license?
I don't know.
Yeah, neither does my husband. So they got some ducks.
You know who would know? People at Shields. There's our plug for one of our amazing partners.
Yeah, when you go into Shields, they have those huge tall windows and the wildlife, the taxidermied wildlife there and the type.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see it.
Yeah.
My daughter likes seeing it. And then at the Fish and Wildlife office across from Giant Springs State Park.
Yep.
Their entire area you can walk through, and there's animals all around.
That, and you can walk into the office, and they have actual experts on applying for things and what you're supposed to do. I picked up a bunch of resources that was where our books came from.
Okay.
All the research that I'm not going to read about.
There are places throughout town that will direct people to us. For example, if someone wants to know how to find the falls and the map's just not doing it for them, they have a lot of questions. So like, you know what, how about you go down to Great Falls, Montana Tourism? They're the experts on that. We get some questions where we're like, you're going to need to go to this office and call her. She'll help you out. Because these regulations, I don't want to tell someone wrong.
And you see how thick this book is.
It's very fine print.
There's a lot of details.
Then they're going to...
I know stuff, but not an expert. You have tags that you can get that are either sex up until a point, and then after that date, then they're only for girls or only for boys. I don't know how you get that.
Okay. And... then I don't even know when the hunting season starts because there's the bow season first, right?
Yeah, bow season started.
Okay, yeah, well, I know. Yeah, bow season, they're up and running with their Katniss
that starts to begin
in October or September.
Beginning of September.
Okay,
and then you have rifle season that starts, and there's an overlap for hunting for bow and rifle season. So, like, your bow season doesn't end when rifle season starts.
Oh.
So, like, you can still bow hunt, and you get rifle hunters, which is probably why I don't hunt here, first and foremost. You could be out rifle hunting. You're wearing orange because it's required of you.
Okay.
But you could be I'm out hunting rifle, you're out hunting bow, and you're all in your camo. And no orange because you're not required.
So I'm hunting someone with a rifle and you're hunting someone with a bow.
You're hunting with the bow. I'm hunting with the rifle.
So that's why
we could be in the same area. I'm in orange. You are not.
I wouldn't want to be a bow.
What if I don't find you while you're hunting your animal?
Camouflage works a lot of the time.
And that's the problem. I don't want to accidentally stumble upon someone hunting an elk.
So why don't bow hunters have to wear orange? Like, why wouldn't they want to?
Well, because you have to be so much closer if you're shooting a bow than you do a rifle.
Katniss Everdeen doesn't. She shot the dome.
Well,
she brought down the Hunger Games.
That's not an animal, though. She had to get pretty close to get her birds.
Okay. Yeah, she did. Okay.
So you're at like 20 to maybe 50 yards from these animals, and they can smell you.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk out.
So you can't be an orange. They're going to spot you. They're like, oh, there's that bow hunter. And it's a more challenging hunt. I think that's why you don't have to wear orange if you're a bow hunter.
So the outfits, that's the only thing I know.
Oh, I have a really good one.
So you have to wear camouflage, orange that's going to clash with your complexion, your nails, probably hairstyle. And I hope you don't have the eyeliner to match. And then your perfume is piss. Or urine, I'm sorry. Is deer urine. That's the correct term. But you're supposed to, it doesn't make sense to me.
The whole experience. And you got to get up at 2:00 in the morning.
And then,
so you can crawl through fields and the swamp to get to the right spot.
And then be cold.
Right.
Because, I mean,
all of this. Now, I also went hunting one time with my loving spouse. I love to hike. And really, hunting is a lot of hiking. So he says. So I get myself a cute little camo outfit.
Of course.
Great pants, comfortable shirt. Like, I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
The dog is with us. We had a yellow lab, and we're out and we're hunting, okay? And the dog and I are having a great time.
And Robert's not.
We're taking pictures. Robert's in the lead. I'm seeing great scenery, great locations. Taking pictures of the dog. Taking pictures of myself with the dog. You can hardly see me. Like, yeah. I'm cool in the camo.
Yeah.
And my husband turns back to me and he's like, "Can you stop breathing so loud?" And I'm like, well, I have to breathe.
And my heart rate's elevated from hiking. Like, come on, Rob.
So that was the one and only amazing time that I got to go hunting with Robert in that capacity. We did try to go rifle hunting one time for deer. Also learned a very important thing about our marriage. We don't hunt together.
So we have a beautiful photo of my friend Ryan hunting in the Little Belts, and it's in winter. My husband took it, and he said that he's layered up. When he tells me I was sweating while like hiking this, but as soon as we stopped, my hat froze to my head because it's cold out there. But they're in their layers of outfits, and to me, I'm really glad that people like to do this, and it's something that gets them out and they enjoy nature. And I hear about the thrill of the hunt, and when you actually get one, and then not only did you fill your tag, if that's the terminology, say with a rifle. But as Craig was saying, a rifle shot's a dinner bell for a bear. So the adrenaline doesn't end there. You then have to figure out how you're going to dress and pack this animal out
as quickly as possible.
So this is my other plug for safety, just because I've been on the helping friend side. Before you go hunting, you should tell someone where you're going. Exactly. Maybe go with someone and have the equipment to do so, because there are those little tracking GPS ones that will send your location. Yep. My friend goes out hunting alone, tells his wife he'll be home by 4:30. They're going to finish making a shelf, have a Caesar salad for dinner, and then FaceTime their family in Ohio. He doesn't come home at 4:30. She calls me panicked, and I'm not trying to make her seem hysterical or anything, but they're both young, and this is his first time hunting, so he's never gotten anything before. I was like, call Mark. He'll say that he got a deer. He's just walking out. It's taking longer. I go over there. She's like, well, I already called the police. Search and rescue's out there. Search and rescue's like, would he be frequently bars? Like, is he not hunting? Is he bar hopping? She's like, no. Sure enough, this guy calls as happy as a clam at 8:30 at night. I got one. And she's all mad at him, like, I was worried and you didn't tell me. And I called the police and they're looking for you. And he's like, you did what? And Maddie's over here. And he's like, thank Maddie. And she's like, you can thank her yourself. So she gives me the phone. I'm like, how big is it? Oh, it's a good one. I'm like, you can't hang that rack inside this house. Like, she's going to be haunted. But sure enough, I go in their house. That rack's up there. Oh. Yeah, so I guess they move fast. Yeah. They're young.
Now, I was listening to a conversation between other people talking about Montana etiquette.
Okay.
This might be etiquette in other communities, other states. I'm not sure, but I am going to tell you this. If you harvest an animal and someone comes to help you, it is customary that you not only buy them drinks, but dinner for helping. And so Robert is often like called because he's gotten cell service. He's like, I got my elk down. I'm, getting everybody up here for
harvest
to come help me haul it out. Just letting you know, we're going to be super late tonight, and depending on how many people show up, is going to be a big bill at the bar. And I'm like, nope, that's expected. Like, that's, if people are going to leave their home to come help you drag your animal out of the mountains or the plains, wherever you get them, you treat them well, because that's a lot of labor.
So much work. It's like the people that help you move. It's supposed to be on like unlimited pizza and some beers. Like, I shall not be hungry this day. Yeah,
And you don't critique where they put the boxes.
No, you're like, everything's fine. Thank you again. If you have any input on where to hunt in the Great Falls area and you want to give not exact GPS or lat longs for it, we just want a general idea. And then what to expect, like time-wise, for getting to an area, some tips and pointers that can be generally specific to our area. So you can email me at information@visitgreatfalls.org or give me a call, 406-761-4436. And maybe we can even use an auto tune for your voice so your friends don't know that you're just
right.
like.
We won't even use your real name.
No, just give us an inkling, because we do have people that visit here for hunting, though it's not as popular as scenic drives or hiking. But we had one gentleman call me saying, I'm hunting here and I need to bring my wife back a gift, a jewelry. Where can I get local jewelry or maybe art? So I recommended him to many of our fine partners here. But hey, he needed to bring something home, even if it wasn't like pounds and pounds of meat, because hopefully he didn't just leave his wife for a weekend.
And you're never going to be successful all the time.
No.
It's the thing you learn with hunting. And as we start to wrap up, I'm just going to give you another teaser. You can even hunt Bigfoot in this area, and we may do a whole episode on that, but they actually issue licenses for this specific small window of time. But I hope I've piqued your interest.
You have. I mean, I know Mats and Jolene mentioned it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know they had a... Oh.
Yeah.
That's a different episode.
So thank you for listening.
You can get all the information about hunting, not from us, but from our friends at the Fish and Wildlife and Parks.
Yep, Fish, Wildlife, and Parks.
We're going to link some of their information on our website, which is we'renodamexperts.com.
So until we see your bright, smiling, happy, shining face here in Great Falls, no, we have no information on hunting at all. We still hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to seeing you soon in Great Falls, Montana. Bye-bye.
We're No Damn Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town. Damn, that felt good.
On the next episode, Rebecca and Madi prepare to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of We're No Damn Experts. We're No Damn Experts is produced by Great Falls, Montana Tourism with original music by the Best Damn musician, Joel Corda.